It's your relationship with yourself. And the way that you become disconnected is that you're pouring everything into everybody else and you're not making any time to maintain that relationship with yourself. You don't know why you're showing up the way that you are. You don't know why you're reacting and getting mad about certain things that really are inconsequential, but you're having this massive rage over it. Like, those are the moments to start digging into. That's the low-hanging fruit, are the really big emotional reactions.
Welcome to the Life Coaching for Mompreneurs podcast, where you will learn simple solutions to win at work without losing at home. Hi, my name is Martine Williams, and I'm your host and CEO, your Chief Encouragement Officer. And this podcast is your one-stop shop to creating a burnout-proof life and business by elevating your clarity, confidence, and courage. Friends, it's time to say goodbye to being the yes girl, to procrastinating on your goals and living in overwhelm. And it's time to say hello to creating healthy boundaries, healthy mindsets, and healthy habits so that you can achieve work-life harmony. Your next breakthrough starts here. This is the Life Coaching for Mompreneurs podcast. Let's do this. Well, hey friends, I'm so excited to introduce you to today's Turquoise Talk guest for many reasons, but her name is Carin Smith. And her mom and my mom have been best friends since high school. And so we've known each other for a really long time, but we just recently kind of connected over the last couple of years. And she's actually a current coaching client of mine. I want to brag on her for a little bit because within 6 weeks of us working together, she booked and delivered her first presentation as a public speaker. And then from that talk, she landed her first paid speaking engagement. And by the end of our first round of coaching, our first 6 months, she presented 5 times and continues to book speaking opportunities throughout 2026. And she just was awarded Communicator of the Year for her podcast that she just launched at the beginning of this year. So she's an amazing communicator. And if you didn't know this, communication is one of the many breakdowns in all relationships, or I think one of the main reasons that we have breakdowns in our relationships, whether it be work related or personal related. So I knew that I wanted to have her come on the call because she is a conscious communication coach. And she has 2 decades of experience in leadership and communication spanning from newsrooms, public service, and corporate communications. She brings a really uniquely grounded yet visionary lens to the way we speak and lead. As the conscious communication coach, she teaches the concept that how you relate to yourself determines how you relate to everyone else. Through keynotes, workshops, and one-on-one coaching, she helps leaders discover the self-awareness tools that turn conflict into understanding, ego into empathy, and communication into their most powerful leadership skill. You're going to love this conversation. You're going to love Carin. So let's get right to it. Well, hey friends, welcome back to the show. I have an amazing Turquoise Talk guest today, Carin Smith. Thank you, Carin, for coming on the show.
Thank you for having me.
It's so weird, saying it so formally, because Carin and I have known each other for years and years and years. Her mom and my mom were best friends in high school, still best friends to this day. But we just recently kind of reconnected over the last, 2 or 3 years. And she's actually one of my private one-on-one clients. And I love the work that you're doing, Carin. And I think it's so important. And so I'd love to just start out with what is the story behind you getting into this work, like the conscious communication coach? I don't think, what does that mean? Maybe talk about that and then just how you got into this work.
Sure. So conscious communication at its core is, that was a lot of alliteration. I'm a word nerd. I love that. Conscious communication is basically the concept that you can't connect with other people, which is the whole point of communication, right? You want to connect. Mm-hmm. You can't connect with other people if you're disconnected from yourself. So the story behind how I started teaching this is I found myself profoundly disconnected from myself. And as a professional communicator, I've always worked in communication. I've always done it professionally. I was having a hard time communicating because I was so disconnected with myself. And so my story of how I got there is mine, but there's a million different ways somebody can find themselves in that place. My story is crippling people pleasing for my entire life, just desperately wanting to be chosen, loved, liked, not showing up authentically, putting my needs behind everybody else's, not having my own back, and
Mm-hmm.
then growing really resentful and angry and lost over never showing up for myself and
Yeah.
finding myself in these relationships where I was just being used all the time
Mm.
and I wasn't getting what I needed, mainly because I wasn't giving it to myself. But the breaking point really for me was I didn't really acknowledge or realize how dysfunctional my marriage was.
Mm.
I thought I'm a fixer, I'm a problem solver. So I really did think I'm a communicator, that I could use different words to get him to be what I needed him to be and to live up to this potential that I saw in him. And that's another flaw of mine, is that I very much see a person and see what I think they could be.
Yeah.
And I expect them to be that, which isn't necessarily fair. So, I own what I showed up to the table with that led to our marriage not working. And ironically, you talk about we've known each other a long time. We literally got married on the same day at the same time,
Yeah.
October 7th, 2000, 6 p.m. Like our moms
Yep.
couldn't go to each other's weddings
It's
because
so crazy.
it
Yeah.
is crazy. My marriage did not end like yours. Unfortunately, it ended. About 2 years ago, I finally ended it. But I mean, we had major issues our entire marriage. It was just, I'm not a quitter. I'm extremely loyal. And I really
Mm.
thought that at some point it would just click and things would work. And they didn't. And after 23 years, finally, I was like, well, I'm really lost and I'm really disconnected. I'm struggling everywhere in my life. There isn't a single relationship that isn't damaged because of how I'm showing up. So
Yeah.
that was really like the reset for me. And so I took that massive leap, which was the hardest thing I've ever done.
Mm-hmm.
Nothing is easy about ending a relationship of 25 years, a marriage of 23 years. We do
Right.
have kids together. It pointed me down the road of getting my life back, getting reconnected with myself. But what kind of pushed me hyper forward is starting to work with you, because
Mm.
I had like my personal life under wraps where I was like, okay, I'm showing up for myself. I'm getting to know myself. I'm working on myself. I got that, the personal stuff, but like career wise and work wise and
Mm.
purpose wise, I was totally lost still.
Yeah.
So while I felt like
Yeah.
I had made a lot of strides in my life to reconnect with myself, that was still a huge disconnect. And I just could not figure it out on my own. And
Yeah.
so I will shout from the mountaintops, everybody needs a coach,
Mm-hmm.
especially if you feel that where you're like, I know this isn't it, but I don't know what is. And that's where I was.
Yeah.
So you've helped me a lot there. And I know you
Yeah.
will.
Well, thank you so much for that little shout out and little soft commercial. I appreciate that. But I
You're
think
welcome.
you had to take the first step, though, right, Karen? I mean,
Yes.
like you had to be leaning in to wanting to figure it out. And I think for some people, that's the hardest part, is listening to that quiet, still voice that's either saying something has to change or this feels off. Like, I think, especially as women, we've gotten really good at just pushing that voice to the side for the sake of people pleasing, or for the sake of like, what will people think? Is this crazy? Am I crazy? Like all of the outward things we're worried about, right? And so then we go into work trying to fix an internal problem externally, which it doesn't work that way. It is an inside job, right? But I think for you, again, like just taking that first step, is really, really important, and being aware of, okay, I've got this little voice and let me listen to it. So, what would you say to someone who's listening right now who has that little voice and they're trying to listen to it, but maybe the noise, it's really noisy out there, or they've lost the self trust to listen to that voice, which I think is another big piece of it.
And I think when I say I was disconnected from myself, I had no trust in myself. And that's because I
Mm,
had repeatedly broken trust with myself for years by not showing up for myself.
mm-hmm.
So, but at the same time, to speak to your question, I think I was in a place that was uncomfortable but familiar. So,
Yeah.
to come out of that and to get uncomfortable in something that you have no idea what it looks or feels like, and to give up what you know to
Yeah.
chase after something that you don't know, I think that's
Mm-hmm.
terrifying for a lot of people, me included. But I think you have to get uncomfortable enough in the familiar
Yeah.
to have to want to take that risk and to
Mm-hmm.
go into that unknown
Mm-hmm.
scared. Like you have to be
Mm-hmm.
ready to do it scared, but that voice isn't going to go anywhere. You might silence it for a little bit, you can numb it, you can escape it, you can do all the things to make it shut up for a little bit, but it's
Yeah.
always going to come back. And usually when it does come back, it's just a little louder every single time. And that's definitely the case for me.
Yeah.
So it finally just got so loud that I was like, yeah, I'm not going to do this and feel this way for the rest of my career. It was the same thing as my marriage. Like I ignored it for, I mean, we had issues our entire marriage and I ignored it and
Right.
ignored, and then finally by the time I got, I got to the place where the thought of feeling the way that I felt was scarier to me, like feeling that way for the rest of my life was scarier to me than doing something different.
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
got that uncomfortable.
Yeah.
And sometimes that's what it takes because if you are too comfortable in the uncomfortable that's familiar, then you won't take that chance. But
Yeah, yeah. It's so true. It's so true. I sometimes when I'm talking to clients or if I'm doing some type of training, I talk about just, we sweep things under the rug, and you just keep sweeping it and sweeping it and sweeping it. And if you were doing that physically in your home, you would eventually start to have this big old mound underneath the rug. And then you like trip over it and face plant, which is usually what happens, right?
yep.
Instead of sweeping it, being aware of what's going on. Doesn't mean you have to. I think sometimes we bury that voice or we don't give space for that voice because we fear we have to act upon it right away. And you don't have to act upon it right away. Could you just let yourself be aware and give yourself permission to think and feel what you're feeling without any judgment or shame or feeling like you have to do anything with it, just allowing that to be there for a second instead of sweeping it under the rug. And then, yeah, there might be some actions that need to be taken. And that's where I think to your point, like hiring someone, having a coach, which they've heard me say here a lot in the podcast, but I think hearing it, it's kind of like when your mom tells you something and then someone else says it, and it's like the best thing since sliced bread.
Yes.
So you're hearing it from someone else who's like, I was in that spot, and it took having someone like thought partnership, someone who could also help me have my own back and to be able to take some of those unfamiliar, unknown steps that are required for change. That's just part of the process. And so having a coach, a mentor, someone that can help you to see your blind spots and to take that next step, you don't have to do it alone. I think that's part of what our brain tells us is that we have to do it alone. And if you struggle with asking for help, what's just one step you can take to get past even that fear of being able to just ask for the help that you need? It doesn't make you weak. And I think it makes you wise.
I think it's getting curious. Like you can be curious without committing to something. You can
Right.
just say, well, I'm going to say, and honestly, that's how I approached reaching out to you. I've known you for years and I
Right.
would see your content and it just started resonating with me. And so one night I really felt that call, like this is speaking to you. You should act on this. And I think we all have that internal voice. But again, when you're disconnected from yourself, it's not as loud and you don't pay attention as much to it.
Yeah.
Thankfully, I'd gotten to a place where I was more in tune with that. And so that particular night, I saw one of your videos and I was like, I'm actually really curious about this. I'm not committing to do this, but I'm curious about it. And so I am going to reach out. I sent you a message
Yeah.
and it was scary. But at the same time, I kind of just, the way that I rationalized it in my head is I'm just asking questions. I'm
Yeah.
asking questions because it's something that is interesting to me. That's, piquing my curiosity and that's worthy of exploring. So just
Yeah.
baby steps.
Yeah. Hey, friend, let's talk. It's time to book your clarity call. We are going to spend 1 full hour focused on you. A clarity call isn't about pressure. It's about possibilities. It's about you. You having a space to talk through what's on your heart and mind, you walking away with a clear vision and practical next steps, and you feeling confident in what's next and how to get there. You don't need to have it all figured out. That's my job. All you need to do is show up and we'll figure it out together. This is the best hour you can invest in yourself right now. Not in 6 months from now, not next month, right now. And don't just take my word for it. Here's what one of my coaching clients had to say after working together.
I honestly cannot say enough positive things about coaching with Martine. From the very first session, I knew this was something different. The deep dive into who I am and why I operate the way I do, per the pro scan results, has helped me immensely and allowed me to embrace my unique qualities on various levels. I would 1000% recommend hiring her for whatever level of transformation you're looking for.
That transformation, it starts with one conversation. It's time to stop spinning your wheels and start making real progress. So head right now to martinewilliams.com or in the show notes and grab your private clarity call spot on my calendar before they're gone. And since I personally monitor my inbox, if you don't see a time slot that fits your calendar, just send me an email at martine@martinewilliams.com with free times that do work, and I will make it work for you. All right, friend, let's get back to the show. When you talk about like getting back connected to yourself, can you share just like what's one or two things that you did that helped you to start that process? Because I know there's a woman listening that's like, I hear it, but I don't understand.
Yeah, how do you do that?
Yeah, how do you do
Yes.
that?
Yeah, me 2
One
years ago,
decision
be
at a
like,
time.
but tell me how. I don't understand. The biggest thing for me and what I now teach and coach on is why are you reacting the way that you do? What are you bringing into conversations without even realizing it? And it all comes down to, I know you coach on this too. What is your inner voice saying? What are your thoughts saying? Because thoughts aren't reality, but your thoughts determine your action. So,
Right.
and they also, your thoughts determine your conversations without you even realizing it. So
Right.
you're carrying all of this stuff, all these feelings, all these preconceived ideas, all these beliefs about yourself, all these patterns into every interaction that you have. And then you're wondering why, dang, that didn't come out the way I wanted it to. Or, whoa, that was chaos when all I wanted was resolution. Like, what is happening? It's digging into, and it's not comfortable. Like, this is another thing that you have to be willing to go there and get a little bit uncomfortable because it does deal with feelings and digging into why do I feel this way? Where is this coming from? But if you aren't willing to do that, then you really aren't going to be able to make much progress with connecting with yourself because that's the core of all of it. It's
Right.
your relationship with yourself. And the way that you become disconnected is that you're pouring everything into everybody else and you're not making any time to maintain that relationship with yourself. You don't know why you're showing up the way that you are. You don't know why you're reacting and getting mad about certain things that really are inconsequential, but you're having this massive rage over it. Like, those are the
Yeah.
moments to start digging into. That's the low-hanging fruit, are the really big emotional reactions.
Yeah.
That's what I teach my clients. That's what I talk about in my public speaking is if you want to know where to start, think about those moments. Think about when
Yeah.
you are just overcome with some huge emotion. What is that about? Where is that
Yeah.
coming from? What, first of all, what emotion is it?
Yeah.
When
Yeah.
does it happen?
Yeah.
And what can you maybe think about from before when you were younger? Like it's going to lead back to something else.
Yeah.
And I'll give an example. So if I'm in a boardroom and I'm in a meeting and I feel like I'm trying to make a point and somebody shuts me down or dismisses me and is kind of like condescending, instant rage. I'm talking rage, like I'm ready to fight.
Yeah.
And what
Yeah.
that points back to me on, and I've worked on myself a lot with this because, man, I can get spicy and I can pop off really fast. My name is Carin with a C, but that K comes right out. She is a terrible side of me. And I didn't want to be that person anymore. So I'm like, well, that's a good one. Let me just start there. So what was that for me? Well, I was bullied as a kid. And like, if you grew up in the 80s and 90s, who wasn't? So
Yeah.
it just
Right.
evoked
Yeah.
that feeling of powerlessness. And all the times in any relationship I've ever been in where I didn't feel like I had a voice or I didn't feel like my words mattered, all of that was coming up in that moment, in that conference room, in that meeting.
Yeah. Yeah.
So having an understanding of that now, it's not like it doesn't still happen, and it's not like I don't have a reaction, but when I feel that, first of all, I can clock it and be like, okay, that's what that is. I know what that is. I can take a breath and regulate myself.
Yeah.
I'm not going to react from that. Like those two steps put you ahead of most people.
Yeah.
Knowing
Yeah.
what's happening and not responding from that. That puts you in like the 80th, 85th, 90th percentile of people.
Yeah. Yeah.
And then the step beyond that that really puts you there is choosing differently in those moments, which is
Yeah.
hard when emotion is involved. But that's
Yeah.
how you retrain that pattern that you've been in forever. It's finding yourself in those moments where you don't even think about it, you just react and taking that beat, taking that breath and responding from the present moment rather than all this garbage that's happened to you in the past that you're bringing into this situation.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, it's naming it, right? So you can tame it. And I think
Yes.
if we don't want to see it for judgment's sake or shame's sake, so I always want to keep bringing this back up when we talk about this, is when you start becoming so aware of what's going on, it's really easy for that shame
Yeah.
to kind of get in there. And it's not who you are, it's just where you are right now, is what I like to tell people. Like you can change, you can choose to respond versus react. You can choose to name it so you can tame it. You can choose to self-regulate before you choose to engage in whatever's going on, right? So I think just again being willing to see it for what it is and not judge yourself for it, because it is a pattern that you've probably have had for a long time. And so and don't expect yourself to get on the other side of that pattern tomorrow, or to like hit it out of the park the first time you do this. Like you're probably going to fumble all over your words. You're probably going to halfway still do some of the things that you did before, but you just have to get started. You can't expect perfection out of the gate. You just have to get started.
The metaphor I like to use when I'm teaching this concept is, if you want to get in shape, if you want to change your physical self, are you going to make that happen by getting up tomorrow and going and doing a 10-hour workout? Is that going to make everything
Right.
in your body change? No, it's not. You have to show up consistently in small increments. They stack, and that's where you change your physical body. It's the exact same with trying to change patterns or change your internal self. The shame thing, I'm glad you said that, because the big thing in my keynote is be curious, not critical.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like, you're not trying to find these things out about yourself to beat yourself up over it.
Yeah.
It's part of that reconnecting with yourself is having your own back and not berating yourself over these things that you're finding out about yourself, and reminding yourself that everyone's human and every single person has some sort of struggle like this, or struggles, all of us. And
Yeah.
the fact that we are human means we're never going to just figure it all out and take the human out of us. There's
Right.
always going to be those moments where the emotion wins, no matter
Yeah.
how much work you've done on yourself. So, like, accepting that, always giving yourself grace, being your number one friend, being your number one cheerleader. That's a huge work I've done on myself, is the self-talk, like just
Yeah.
encouraging myself and not looking in the mirror and going like, ew,
Right.
because I've done
Yeah.
that my whole life. But like,
Yeah.
if you can change that internal voice, and you have complete control over that, you can
Yeah.
challenge that voice anytime you want to. But a lot
Yeah.
of people don't even realize that A, it's happening, or that B, you can go, I don't believe that. I'm going
Yeah,
to do it.
I'm just going to choose not to engage with that thought. It's like a
Yep.
horrible thought, right?
Yep.
And so it's just you understanding that you have the remote control in your hand,
Yep.
and you can turn up the volume or you can turn down the volume. And so we're
Yep.
encouraging you to like get aware of those thoughts and the emotions, but you have the power. And you're going to go to a lyric just like I do with the
I
song,
got
but
the power.
fun fact about Kara and I, we know the lyrics of lots and lots and lots of songs. Our brain is 90% lyrics, so we
So
can't
much
have a
brain space on
conversation.
lyrics. Yes.
We
I'm
can't have a
proud of
conversation.
us. That was the first one. I'm proud of us that it took this long for one of them to come out.
But you really do. And it puts you in that empowered place. We're not saying you have to be positive all the time, but you can be in your power all the time.
Yes.
You can choose to be empowered with your thoughts and just be aware of them so that you can decide what you want to do with them. I mean, some days I have those thoughts and I'm like, you know what? I just need to feel what's
Yep.
happening right now. I don't need to push past it or try to fix it. I just need to feel it. And that's part of the process. But for high achieving women, which is primarily the women who listen, like we're just ready to move on to the next thing. We
Yep.
just want to fix it, forget it, and move on. And sometimes it's just not that quick. It's a process that you have to trust, right?
Yeah. And I consider myself pretty positive, upbeat. I'm a person who likes to be happy. I
Yeah,
like to
me
be
too.
steady. I like, to feel good. I do know firsthand there are people who like misery. There are people who
Yeah.
like to create misery and wallow in it. I am not one of those people. I lived with one of those people for a very long time,
Yeah.
but I don't like the feeling of having to feel that. And so for a
Yeah.
very long time, I would just push through and squash it, whatever, when those feelings would come up, because I just didn't want to feel it. I didn't want to, I didn't
Yeah.
want to feel like I was wallowing in it, but it is such an important part of being a human being, is like when you have feelings of sadness or, doubting yourself or whatever, it's like honoring those moments and being human and feeling them, but not staying there for very long.
Yeah. No.
But you do have to give yourself that. Like, you have to live the entire experience, not just the positive moments. I think that's something that I've tried to integrate more too, because all of it is part of the experience. Like, you can't really enjoy the super good moments without the super bad ones, because you have perspective.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, I remember when that clicked for me last year, as I've been on my own journey, as the podcast listeners know, about emotions and just allowing myself to feel it, was that I was missing out on so much fullness of joy because I was turning down all of the negative emotions too. Because I'm like, I mean, who wants to feel bad? I remember talking to my therapist about it, and I'm like, I don't wanna. And she's like, well, thank you for being honest.
But you gotta.
But you have that emotion, like things
Yep.
are happening that, are causing you grief and sadness and worry and all those things. And so you can't, when you turn that down or you shut it off or you numb it or whatever it is that we do, you actually turn off also the pleasures and the joy. Like you can't turn off one without turning off the other. And so I realized like how much I was short-sighting my fun moments and my engaged moments with my family and my kids and my husband and with my friends, because I wasn't willing to connect emotionally at a higher level. So I know like the work that you do also translates into, like, you have two boys, I have two boys, which is another fun fact about
Yes.
us.
Almost the
And
same age.
I
Yes.
have a Lucas and she has
And
a
I have a
Luke,
Luke.
which we were going to initially call him Luke, but Lucas just kind of stuck. But like you can take the same concept of conscious communication into parenting, which I know we have a lot of moms that are listening. So can you kind of share a little bit about that? How do you connect that with conscious communication? Quick pause. If you've been listening and you're ready to stop performing your life and start leading it, if you know you're ready to feel better now, not later, and you're ready for support that actually creates sustainable transformation, I have private one-on-one coaching spots open. And inside this coaching, in Illuminate You Coaching, we don't guess. We use your unique personality blueprint built from the science-backed personality and performance tool called the ProScan, the one you've heard me talk about here in the podcast. This is used so that every decision, every boundary, every shift is designed specifically around your wiring, not someone else's. This is my aligned success method. It's not hacks. It's not try harder. It's not mindset glitter. It's a real solution. It's rooted in science, strategy, and your unique design. So you can lead your life as the woman you actually are, not the woman others expect you to be. Now is the time. Take the step. Book your clarity call at martinewilliams.com/clarity. All right, back to the episode.
Well, you mentioned it before. It's like when your parents tell you something,
Yeah.
you can't listen to them. I have a podcast also, and that was actually the one I just filmed, was struggles I'm having with my older son, not keeping his word to himself. How important it is for words and actions to match.
Just had that conversation yesterday with Lucas.
Yes. And so that episode of mine actually comes out soon. That's the next one to drop. But I watched his dad do this for 25 years. Saying you're going to do something and then abandoning that and not having your actions match what you say you're going to do. It's you abandoning yourself. It's you not showing up for yourself. And basically it's you proving to yourself that you can't do something. And it shifts confidence, like keeping promises to yourself, and nothing destroys confidence more than not keeping your promises to yourself. So he's been struggling with that recently, specifically. And like his dad will end up in this pit of despair where he's like, but see, I screw everything up and I can't ever get anything right. But it's a self-fulfilling prophecy at that point because your actions have backed up your belief that you can't do anything right. So as a parent, it's so hard to watch. It's so, because I want to fix it for him. And I failed in a marriage thinking I could fix that for somebody else. I can't. I can't choose anyone else's actions, not my kids, not my ex-husband's, nobody's. I can choose mine. That's all I can choose.
Yeah.
But to see him struggle with it at an age where he's still forming his identity and to see the impact that it has on him during the times where he isn't showing up for himself and he is abandoning himself in those moments and not making great choices to back up where he wants to be and what he says he wants to do. It's tough, but I do believe if we can, I honestly think this generation, Gen Z, is already so ahead of where we were at their age as far as being emotionally in tune.
Oh yeah, 100%.
Showing up for themselves, having boundaries, and I don't know if we've raised them that way or if they've looked at us and gone, well, I don't want to be like that. I don't know. I'm not sure. But,
I hope it's the first thing.
I'm going to go with the first two. But, you have to look at, we were raised by the boomer generation, and they
Mm-hmm.
never talked about feelings. Like, never.
Mm-hmm.
It wasn't a
No.
thing. Like,
Mm-mm.
crazy people talked about feelings. Like,
Yep.
mental health was something you talked about if you were on your way to an insane asylum. Like, this was not normal
Yep.
talk. Nobody did therapy. Nobody, like, it was so taboo. And that's who raised us. I think
Right.
we are more open to it. Like, we've realized,
Yeah.
well, that's kind of not really a great approach to take with this. Like,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
so, and then with them, they've taken it even further. And now they're half of the workforce, over half of the workforce. And that's why you're seeing all these people leave jobs because the leadership sucks. They're
Yeah.
demanding more, which I think is awesome. I think there's a lot of people our age that are super triggered by this. Like, well, this is how we've always done it, and I'm not changing
Right.
me. But we need to, we have to. I think what they're demanding is awesome. And I think
Yeah.
it's long overdue. I wish at 22, I could have stood up for myself more and said, I don't want to be treated this way. Like, this is
Mm-hmm.
crazy.
Yeah. Yeah. It's so true. It's so wild to watch them grow up in a world that is definitely more, and it's such a good thing, right? That they're more
Agreed.
willing to talk about emotion and talk
Yeah.
about
Especially with
setting
boys.
boundaries. Yeah. 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 And just being in touch with your emotion doesn't make you weak, as
Yep.
a boy and or as a man.
Yep.
And so they're starting off with a better foundation for that. Just we got to also make sure we don't swing it too far in the other direction,
Yes.
with all of that to where they take advantage of those kinds of things.
Correct. Yes.
So anyway, well, tell me what you're most excited about right now that you're working on as a conscious communication coach.
So I've been doing live sessions and public speaking events, but I'm actually doing my first online workshop soon
Okay.
on May 27th. So I did this class live. I had a group that I taught my conscious communication platform to,
Mm-hmm.
and I mentioned in it that I use AI, ChatGPT, when I'm trying to like process something or figure out, like if I have a hard conversation that I have to have, and I want to make sure I'm showing up as well as I can and thinking about all the perspectives. I have pretty specific prompts that I'll use with
Mm-hmm.
ChatGPT to do that. And it's an awesome thinking partner. So I mentioned it in my first session and they were like, we want a whole session on that. So I wrote a whole session on it, delivered it live, and they loved it. It was like the most popular session I've ever done. So because of the feedback on that, I've decided to put it online and open it up to more people because I'm only me and I'm only one person, but
Right.
you
Yeah.
know.
Yeah.
So again, it was like people were like, this is so cool. I think people at this point, people know of AI. I think a lot of people are intimidated by it. I
Mm-hmm.
also think you have to kind of, if you're going to use it this way, know what you're doing with it. It's not just having it write an email for you. This is
Right.
getting into some psychology and, okay, help me with how to say things. So it's important to understand the psychology behind AI. It's important to know exactly what to tell it and how and what you need to ask it
Mm-hmm.
for what you need. So that's what this workshop is all about is kind of and I've learned it through using it myself and seeing what worked and what didn't work. But when I did the demo in the live class, people were like, whoa. I'm like, I know,
Yeah.
it's so cool.
It is like anything else. When you fully understand it and you know how to make it work for you, whatever it is that you're working on, it can
Yeah.
become such a useful tool and it's not going anywhere. So we might as well
No.
get comfortable with it and get used to it and
Yeah.
decide it's not like if you're going to use it, it's how you're going to use it. Because I do think
Exactly.
that's just the direction that it's going in. So it's kind of like I remember being like a late adopter to Facebook. Like you met her, Blair, my very best friend, when I was doing 31. She's like, you've got to get on Facebook, and I'm like, I don't have time to be on Facebook. Like I'm too busy being in person with people. Like I don't want to go online. I don't want to do all that. And so I was a
Right.
very late adopter to Facebook and building a business page and really like promoting it. But then it's turned into, it's an amazing
Everything.
resource. Yeah,
Yeah.
it's an amazing resource. And so it doesn't have to take you completely away from your own writing and, your own brain space and using your own brain to be a critical thinker, but it can be a great thought partner, I think,
Me
and
too.
to help you streamline some things.
Unsolicited advice from a communication professional who uses AI. I'll give you a freebie. When you are using it to write, you have to have a very good understanding of what your voice is. So if you're writing
Mm,
for yourself, you need to know how you sound, what point you're trying to make. If you're like I write for an organization or I'll write for another person. You, when you are using it, have to keep that in mind always because it doesn't know and it doesn't know nuance. So that's where they're always in writing, as far as I'm concerned, there needs to be a human involved because it's basically giving you a draft and you are the editor. Like you have to always know this is what I sound like, or he sounds like, or this organization sounds like. This is the point I was trying to make. This is how I would normally make it if I was writing it myself. But I think that's where people get lazy. They're like, oh, write me this. Yep, good enough. Put it out.
Yeah.
That's where I think it can get to not be a great resource.
Well, you're not utilizing your own thinking in that place.
No.
And then it's like,
It's
if you
lazy.
don't use it, you lose it, right?
Yep.
It's lazy brain. So,
Well, and everything starts sounding the same because AI basically writes the same. It has like a voice, which I'm noticing online. I can tell whose content is written by AI. I'm like, well, they didn't edit that. It all sounds the same. There's all these like same catchphrases, the way things are worded. Like,
yeah,
I notice.
yeah. And I think other people are, even that aren't communication experts, are starting to.
It's not hard.
I think you can feel it, right? Like I can feel.
It doesn't feel authentic. That too.
It doesn't. It doesn't feel authentic if you're not the one writing it or giving it. Giving it the 90% of the information so it can help with the other 10%. It's kind of how
it only knows what you give it. It only knows what it knows.
Yeah.
And then it's really good at filling in the blanks with stuff that's probably not at all what you wanted it to say. And sometimes it's not even accurate. So that's where it can go sideways with hallucinations and all the weird things that can happen. But she's going to talk about, you're going to talk about all that and more. So if y'all are interested in this, you definitely want to go sign up. So we'll put the link in the show notes. Can you tell them how else they can connect with you, Carin, if this is something they're interested in, whether they have you come in and speak to their organization or if they have an event coming up and they want to have that, or if they just are looking for a conscious communication coach, like that's your thing is I want to be a better communicator. Yes.
Where can they?
I have a website. It's theconsciouscommscoach.com. Okay. So there you can book a call with me. You can see some testimonials of people who've heard me speak. You can join my newsletter. I do one about every 2 weeks. I send something out. And it's also where I talk about things first. Although, have I sent any? I don't know. This may trump, your podcast may trump my newsletter for this online course. You heard it first here. You heard it first.
I love that. I love being first.
She got the exclusive. She's like Oprah.
Yeah, that's right.
And then I'm on social. I'm on Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, LinkedIn, and I have a podcast called The Carin Confidential, which is on YouTube. The links to all that are in my bios for all of my social, and you can listen to it anywhere you get your podcasts.
I love it. I'm so excited for you. I'm so proud of you. Like just thinking back to when you first came on to our very first call and like, again, just that, like, I'm not sure what I want to do, but I know I don't want to be where I'm at right now.
Yep.
And just taking that courageous, curious next step is just, I think once you take that first step, like you already start feeling better because like, I'm no longer sitting in the land of indecision. Like I'm making a decision here. And you did that. So I'm so proud of you. It's an honor to be your coach and to be your friend. And I cannot wait to see what happens next. It's going to be amazing.
Thank you. I'm excited too. And I'm very grateful to have you.
Well, if you could leave our listeners with one final thought, knowing that they're moms, they're entrepreneurs, it can be communication related or it could be not communication related. Like what would you want a listener to be encouraged by today?
Don't forget that the most important relationship in your entire life is the one with yourself.
Yeah.
And it's not selfish to pour into that relationship. In fact, it is, again, it's the most important one. So you have to make sure on your priority list, and I know you preach this too, but you have to build that relationship with yourself. You have to have your own back. You have to know yourself. And whatever boundaries it takes around making that happen are worth having. And they're not selfish.
No. Well, thank you for sharing that. And thank you for coming on and being honest and open about the work you do and who you are and the journey you've been on. I know it's going to be a great episode for everyone. So thank you so much.
Thank you.
All right, friends. Well, I'll catch you on our next episode. Well, that's a wrap, friends. Thank you for tuning in to today's episode. I really hope it met you right where you are and gave you some encouragement for your day. Could you do me the biggest favor and leave me a rating and review? Seriously, it's the best way for you to support the show. And while you're there, be sure to follow the show so you never miss an episode. Thanks again. And until next time, I am believing in you always.